Rick, you kind of touched on this earlier, how we wanted to kind of finish up before we took questions when you said that, you see it evolving, and I'll put it in different words. You were more polite, but when the old folks that didn't come up doing it this way finally move on, the younger folks will kind of get it. Just perspectives from everybody on the profession. Have we emphasized the importance of auditing as much as we have the importance of accounting? Or do we think we've kind of biased the profession a little bit towards the accounting? And I'll start maybe with Susan and Greg, your perspective on what's the first thing our students are hearing on campus? Is it that accounting is most important or auditing is important? And is there something as a profession we need to do to drive home the importance of this at an earlier point in their career?
Yeah, I'll start with that. At the University of Central Florida, students will probably have 6 or 7 accounting courses when they graduate with their undergraduate degree and 1 auditing course. Now, at the undergraduate level, you say, well, those people aren't going to go on and be CPAs because they're not getting the 150 hours. But those aren't the people that are going to be working at clients, and they're going to be putting together financial statements. And they have to understand that controls drive process. That the controls have become not just something that the auditor looks at to determine levels of substantive testing. The problem with that, though, is that it's real easy for us here to say, oh, yeah, they should put some more control stuff into Introduction to Financial Accounting. My problem is that my colleagues who teach Introduction to Financial Accounting, they're going to argue that they're already trying to pour 15 gallons of water into a 10-gallon jug. There's only so much time. So I think at the university level, at the undergraduate level, we're going to have to become more creative on how to build more of that in. Because initial studies have shown that if you bring controls into that Introduction to Financial Accounting class, subsequently people are better at doing risk assessments for controls. So you say, but maybe some at the undergraduate level, not sure how. And then at the graduate level, these are the people that are going to become auditors. These are the people that are going to strive to become certified public accountants. So the knee-jerk reaction is to say, oh yeah, make them take more auditing courses. And yet, like at the end of our surveys with our 20 audit partners, the last question that was always asked is, do you have any recommendations for our students? And a lot of the times the question, well, one response was, yeah, tell your students that you can't audit by email. It's like, okay, you have to actually get out from the desk and go and talk to the client. But beyond that, it's understand why. Understand the business and understand why. And I don't know if that necessarily comes through an additional auditing course, although as an auditing guy, I think we should always have more auditing courses. But I think
I told you I'd give you the softballs, right?
Yeah, right. That's why I went first, right? So I think it is incumbent upon academia to take a step back and not just say the profession is struggling, but to figure out what's our role in making it better in the future. So,
Susan, perspective?
Well, as someone who doesn't teach audit, because I think it's so hard to teach audit, I don't know if I'm really the best one to speak to this, but I do think that so much of what we've heard today is that it is context, it is idiosyncratic, and I think that that's very hard to bring into a classroom. So if we are going to put a greater emphasis on understanding auditing in general and internal control auditing in particular, I think it needs to be more creative than adding a class. I think it needs to be done with internships that are focused in this area, with things that get people out to think about what exactly these facts, circumstances, contexts are, because, hypotheticals are hard, and they're really hard if you don't have any prior experience with these things. So that's not something I'm going to be taking on, but I say go do it to all my auditing colleagues.
Mark and Rick, maybe your perspectives of when students come and join the firms. Do you think they are excited enough about doing, how important it is to really, it's not doing internal control work, it's really understanding the company's systems, and do you think the profession's gotten away from that a little bit, of how important that is to their future careers wherever they end up?
Well, certainly students come really well prepared in accounting. I think they do. We are in a profession where you graduate from school, you get a job in your profession, and you can do it, which in many types of curriculum you can't say that today. Never could say that. So that part's good. I do think though, that we sometimes maybe even overestimate where, how far that goes. You can start, but yet I don't think I've ever seen a student come out of college and understand how to do a deferred tax provision the right way. You know, and I've been around a lot of CPAs who've admitted they still can't do that. and so we want to be careful that we don't get carried away. But I do think that it would be a fair statement to say that more context, more energy, more time around auditing would be helpful. You know, I think, you know, you do one auditing course, you basically can get the standards out. And it's been at least 8 or 9 years since I took auditing. I don't know how it's evolved since, but I think that it really is something that is hard to teach, and it is something that needs to be hands-on. I think it would be great if we could somehow get into our curriculum, kind of like the medical profession, where internships are required. You know, the equivalent of a residency or something like that, where you actually have to go out and try to apply the concepts. Because I do think they are harder to translate from a pure academic concept to what happens in the field compared to accounting. I know when I think about we've been looking very hard at our training courses, and our training courses are almost upside down from what we're talking about here. The amount of accounting that we teach is very small compared. You know, we do some updates, but we almost begin with it as if the person had no auditing, and then we have multiple years of core courses, and it's 90% auditing. So you can tell where we think the energy needs to be, but I also think that it goes very much hand in hand with hands-on. So there is a limit to how much I think academically we can push it in the classroom.
And I would agree with all that. I mean, if there's an internship or whatever, to be more hands-on, and you're not going to be able to do everything, but early in the career, they're going to probably be testing the controls, right? So again, thinking about the evidence around it and how much is needed would be helpful. But when you're thinking about the end-to-end process and the questions of what can go wrong, that's really just going to come with the experience and the professional skepticism that somebody needs, right? And so they're going to have to learn that as they, I think, grow up through the firm and through that normal process. Being introduced maybe at the college level, that would be great, but you're not going to be able to get all that skill set, I don't think.